Let's pray. Father, we come to you asking that you speak to us in our hearts. We can understand you more and understand what life is about, what real life is about, life eternal in you. Speak to us of this morning, Father. Amen. As I was praying, the Lord was speaking a number of different things to me real quickly, and so I want to talk about some of those things. When C.S. Lewis was an atheist, he believed in evolution. After he became a Christian, he just continued to believe in evolution for a while, but eventually he came to, no, that's not true at all. But he had bought into, as an atheist, he had bought into this thing of this, what a horrible word. You wouldn't think that the following word would be a horrible thing, but progressive situation. That liberals, which it's funny because even liberals don't call themselves progressives. There are liberals out there that say, no, I'm a liberal, I'm not a progressive. These people are crazy. But you want to go, the reason that we've gotten there is because you've said you're a liberal, and you've had policies that I think a lot of people thought were crazy. And now we're progressing. Evolution talks about us progressing. What a silly thing to believe that mankind is progressing. One of these days we're going to be a God. Boy, what are you listening to? Is this science? Is this evolution? No, it's not. And we're going to be gods, and we're going to, they always picture these aliens with these big bulging brains and little tiny pointy faces looking like emaciated elves with hydrocephaly. That was a tacky statement, but when a human being has a head that swollen up, they're mentally retarded. But for science fiction people, they're brainy. Now, he believed that religions evolved. And he said, at his position in the 20th century, looking backwards, he said, look, you can see all these little things, and all those things are part of the progression that eventually got mankind to the great monotheistic, they say these things, the great monotheistic religions that we have today. Give me a break. And then they'll list off Islam, they'll list off Buddha, Hinduism, and Christianity. And they'll say all these religions eventually came down to these monotheistics. Eventually, someone challenged him on this, and said, no, don't you get it? Satan has put, went blank on the word, I almost said it, pseudo-religious things in all religions, and yet there are some things in it that are true, and he's always going to put some truth in there. I don't know, there's a lot of the religions that really focus on honoring parents, honoring grandparents, that kind of thing. And those things are true. Honoring the family, those things are true. Now, but that doesn't make them all truth, just because they have one truth. And this person challenged him and said, no, it's exactly the opposite. Don't you see that in the false religions, God has placed a few things of truth, and it's not that these religions are progressing and mankind is getting better, is that God is making himself known in the mythologies, which was Lewis's forte, and all sorts of things like this. And it's that there's the sprinkling of truth that's in there. Okay? Now, that brings us to today. And one of the reasons that we exist, honestly, that this place exists, and that we do what we do here. We have people, why are you even saying these things? What gives you the right to say it? What are you? I understand that. It's just that we didn't choose ourselves to be here and be saying these things. We didn't choose ourselves for the Lord to pour things out upon us. We didn't go, God, we're going to make stuff up so you can talk to us. We and a number of other people believe that there are important things that we are saying that are needed in these days of such compromise. Do we dare compare ourselves to the prophets of old? No, that's not it. But we've been given things we're supposed to be saying to this generation. It's our job. You could read, Tolkien, and in it he would say, every generation has its battle to fight. Now, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let it go and not do anything, or are you going to take that battle and do something with it? And I think he's not the only one that said it. Many other people said the same thing. We've got to fight. And no matter where God may number us or not number us, doesn't matter. What matters is that we're going to stand up, and as far as it depends upon us and the grace of God, we're going to speak the truth. For 2,000 years, maybe I should say it for 1,600 years. For 1,600 years, the organized church has been involved, not completely telling everything false, that's not what goes on, but has been involved in a lot of lies. We could list off a lot of them, and again, this is not, let's just bash the church. This is to wake us up to the fact that there's a lot of fairy tales going about, disguised as truth from God, that are not truth. I remember, either the Bible is true or the church is true. And we got a problem because they really don't agree. Well, of course we agree. No, you don't. I've listened to so many things that here, this is truth. And when you look in the Bible, it's not there. We could list off almost every doctrine, and that they stand on and they make to be the most important thing in the world, and it doesn't agree with this book. And to make it agree with this book, you've got to twist the book around. When you die, you're going to go to heaven and you're going to be in a mansion. Now, that's not in the Bible. I understand it's in the King James Bible, but it's not in the original languages. It's not there. Maybe God will give you a mansion. If he does, mine's going to be bigger than yours because I warned you. Who wants a mansion? What do you get? Anyway, it goes on and on and on and on. And we have the reason. And I don't think the church knows this, don't get me wrong. I don't think the church is going, well, sometimes they do. We can make up these lies. certainly during the time of the great strength of Catholicism, of the Church of England. These were political entities. They weren't something about the kingdom of heaven. They're about the kingdoms of this earth. And the Church of England and the destruction, killing Catholic brothers and sisters, the Catholic Church killing anybody that got in the way, Calvin killing Luther. What was 150,000 died in the war that...
He didn't kill Luther.
What?
He didn't kill Luther.
No, but Luther was part of that battle, the war that was there. Mm-hmm. Who killed Luther?
No, I thought you said Calvin killed Luther.
Oh, Calvin. Yeah, no. Calvin. I don't think Calvin killed Luther. Thank you for it. Go back and look and see if I said that, but I wouldn't doubt it. I didn't mean to. Calvin didn't kill Luther. He may have wanted to, but he killed somebody else. A good friend of his, actually, because he didn't agree with his doctrine. Wow. Anyway, the power, the secular, physical power, political power of these churches and of the things the churches said, again, I don't think all of it came just from smoke-filled rooms in the Vatican, as they're seeing what we can do as far as political. I think a lot of it was there, but I think that it's the enemy trying to hide and disguise the things of the truth. All of that to bring us to, you think about it, I hope I say something discouraging to you in the next few minutes. I really want to say something discouraging to you. What is life? Just this biological thing? Is life, come on, is life, you're born, you live your childhood playing, you get to be teenage years, you live those rebelling, you get out of that, and you're through with your rebellion, and you go get a job, making six figures, playing video games. Oh, maybe that part's not true. But you go and you continue playing as an adult. That's all that life is about. Is that life? Oh, well, no, I'm supposed to get married. That'll fulfill me. Really? Somehow it doesn't seem to be working out too good for most people that do that. Oh, it'll be different with me. No, it won't. No, it won't. Well, I'll have kids. That'll be different. Big time, no, it won't. I'll get a job. Yeah, that way I can buy big boys' toys or big girls' toys. Toys break. Toys get stolen. We spend, when you think about it, you've got a finite amount of time in this body. And we take that time and we trade it for toys? Really? We're trading this time for toys instead of things and life the way that life is supposed to be. God is the one who invented life. And I'm not talking about just the biological life. That is simply one part of it. I'm talking about what the Bible would call Zoe, which is life at a higher plane than where everybody else lives it. This is here, I'm living life for myself. Come on, let's get real about things. Most people live their lives for self, period. Self. If you could stop at the end of the day and ask yourself the question, how many of my thoughts today were only about me and me alone and nothing else? If God could play the tape back, I think you'd be very depressed. Because you would find out that wow, I'm about me. I look back on my life and how much I was about me before I met the Lord. And he started walking with me. I don't think he was walking, I wasn't walking with him. So what is life? It certainly is not the things that we listed off. It certainly is not the things of, oh, well, I'll do this, this, and this, and I'll be fulfilled. At the end of it, you die. The Bible makes sure that it tells you that. Why is there death? I think it's to remind us of the meaningless of your existence, of the existence of an animal, the existence of creation without a creator. It's meaningless. God did not create the creation, mankind. I don't think he created any of it to die. I don't think he created it for that. It wasn't created, okay, I'll put death within it. Death came. I've mentioned before, we have a family member that we know that does pretty high level biological molecular research. And his brains have brains. But he works in an area that is on the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Death.
What?
The death.
Yeah, the apoptosis, but I'm trying to think of the word that would be planned, if you want to put it this way. What?
Planned death.
Planned cell death. Every cell in your body, and planned is not the right word, I can't remember it, but it's okay. He would remember it. What?
Is it programmed?
Programmed, thank you. Apoptosis is programmed cell death. Every cell in your body, and tell me why. Come on. In terms of evolution, there is no reason. There is no reason for what I'm about to say. Every cell in your body has a programmed time. There's a clock in every cell in your body. It will get to a certain point and it will turn off and die. What? Every cell. Well, but I'm making new ones, but they're all defective. Isn't that an exciting thing? That's the bad news, is that surely I'll stay young. You will not stay young. I always laugh at these things. Well, we found the fountain of youth. And what they did we've got a way to make you look younger and stay younger. And what do? They tuck up more and more skin until the fact that you've got this perpetual grin, a death mask on your face. And you think that you're beautiful at the age of 97. And you've got more skin tucked back behind your head than you do in front of you. And it doesn't work. You die. You die. And the cells all die. And die 1,000 deaths, shall we say. There's not a reason for this. It was put into man and put into creation to remind us, you and everybody around you and everything around you is absolutely pointless without a creator. Now, I might add that the belief in evolution has helped everyone believe what I just said. Now, you may be thinking, I've never heard anybody explain it like this. Wow, I understand. Here's death, and it's to make life pointless. But the people that teach you evolution have already told you something. Life is pointless. Life is pointless if evolution is true. If all of this is an accident. It's fun because the philosophers go, okay, and the scientists too. How far back do we go? I was talking to a doctor, a friend of mine one time, that I explained that evolution was false and creation was true. He was so excited. And he came up to me one day and said, "Hey, I was thinking about what you said." This is an older man. He was in his 70s, but he had gotten so excited about creation. And he said, "They can tell you it evolved, but how did it all, where did the beginning stop?" And I thought, it's good, Doc. It's amazing a man that brilliant would have, in his 70s, that would have been he finally thought of that. And he was exactly right. What do you do? The belief and what they wanted to, what they kind of did was kind of punt philosophically. Let me tell you what they did. What they did was they said, well, the universe simply always is. Now, I'm sorry, but if that's your answer to everything, you got some issues. It is simply existent. And you talk about circular reasoning, something, hey, I've got the answer, what? I don't know. I wish you could have said just that. We'd have been a whole lot better off. Instead of the silly sounding circular reasoning. How is the universe existent? Well, it's existent. Maybe we should try it slower. How is it? I mean, it's existent. No. Einstein himself, we've talked about this, fabricated falsehood into his calculations that he had done of the universe. Because he realized that his math, when he was doing the calculations, was going to do something he didn't want it to have. And that was a beginning. Oh no, the universe had a beginning? That won't do. And so he lied. At the end of his life, he said it, I lied about this. It's the thing I'm the most ashamed of in my entire life. But I lied. This is the greatest scientist to ever live. I lied to you. I lied to mankind. I lied to everybody. The universe had a beginning. And, of course, they discovered that. They called it the Big Bang. We would probably call it creation, but they can do whatever. God started it. He created something out of nothing. The universe had a beginning. And that beginning was not intended. It was not originally intended to have the ending that it's going to have. It wasn't intended for that. Death was placed into it to remind man, without me, you're nothing. Without God, you are nothing. Without a purpose, you are nothing. Without a purpose, you're purposeless. How about that? Without something beyond the few years that you live upon this planet and pollute it and raise the temperature so that people in the future are all going to die from being too sunburned. This is macabre. This is depressing beyond words, because if the evolutionists and the scientists, the philosophers are right about this, you have no meaning. You're as worthless as you can possibly be. All you're going to do is, well, I'll live today and tomorrow I may die. That's true. So what? So what if you died? So what if you lived? Mankind was not created to be purposeless. That's why I think everybody, tries to come up with some sort of purpose. We have a desire to be needed. We have desires to be wanted. We have desires to be loved and fulfilled. However, at the end of the day, if there is nothing except this life, that is absolutely purposeless in itself also. There's the depressing stuff. As well it should be. Because God did it to remind us of it. Our bodies are dying. From the second that you are are conceived, you begin to die. And your body doesn't necessarily start its downward slope. For men, downward slope starts around the age of 19. That's the average. You start getting slower. You think by the time you're 26 or 27, you've slowed down a lot. That's why these athletes don't last but 10 years at the most sometimes a lot less, because their bodies can't take it. So many have diseases, Parkinson's and things like that, from the banging and rattling of throwing their bodies around when they're very young. Anyway, God has put into our biological lives no, He has offered to our biological lives meaning. He has offered hope within hope. He has offered life within life. He has offered that to us. Not in a religious thing, but in a relationship with the very creator of this universe. And all of that, this ranting and raving this morning, has been to say, if we have meaning, and if we are intended to live at a higher plane and intended to live eternally, will life look like it looks for you right now to live eternally? How many of you, I'll take hands, how many of you in the past month, somewhere in the past month, or around in there, have felt depressed, or felt anxious, or felt sad, had the blues, whatever? I can raise my hand pretty much to that without any trouble, okay? That's because it's a common thing within every one of us. Sometimes it's the enemy, sometimes it may be physical things that or maybe we're just overdoing ourselves, but usually it's because of the feeling of hopelessness that we'll feel, of worthlessness, of failure, of things we've done wrong. And God has said you can't get out of that. You're not going to squeeze your way out of that. He is there for that. He can forgive us for things past, and then He works with us today and in the future to keep us from repeating those things, so that we don't have, okay, I've got to have another round of depression today. Again, all of that to say, God created life, and He's got the right, and I would say also the responsibility, to put laws of life into that life. Here's the way things work. In other words, this is the manual from our manufacturer. This is the manual that we're supposed to know, and this is the way we're supposed to live. Not religiously. God is saying, I think through all of the Bible, a number of different things, but I think one of the most important ones, maybe the most important, is life. You were not intended to live life completely alone. Remember, when God looks upon man, He goes, it's not good for man to be alone. But that's true. But the answer was really not, oh, let's get him a wife. The answer was, he needs me. Honestly, that's what it was supposed to, because mankind was not created to live apart from God. I don't mean a fake God. I don't mean a religious God. I don't mean that this said, here's the way you do another religion. I mean life, the rules that we've been given, that he has given us. And with that, this is where we're going to be going, because there are rules that we violate, and they're rules, make no doubt about it. It's a law. These are things that we violate, things that we need to acknowledge and to find out about.